Welcome back to the dojo, everyone, and welcome back to another 10-Minute Tuesday. I'm your host, Matt Lear, and I want to talk to you about a book that changed my life. Well, not necessarily the book itself, but something that dawned on me as I was reading it today. And that's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It really did change my life 20 some years ago, and it's considered a classic in the personal development space. So if you haven't had a chance to read it yet, I highly suggest that you do. But as I was reviewing the 7 habits, I realized that these 7 habits, uh, the most highly effective hunters that I've talked to in the podcast, and I've had a chance to hang around and get to know, they actually have adopted these 7 habits. And so over the next 2 weeks, we're going to break down the 7 habits of highly effective hunters. And before we dive into those 7 habits, we have to understand the foundation that was laid by the original author. And the first part of that foundation was identifying success. And for highly effective hunters, success isn't just a big buck on the ground. And it definitely isn't the grip and grin photo for the likes on Instagram. It's much more than that. It has to necessitate a change in their personal development. Has to help them reach their full potential. In fact, the mission statement of the dojo is helping hunters reach their full potential in the woods and in life. And I believe that the most highly effective hunters that I know, that's exactly what happens. The work that they put in, the development that they experience out in the woods actually helps them be a better person in all areas of life. The second part of this is paradigms. So, what is a paradigm? Well, a paradigm is how you look at the world. It's the lens in which you view the world, or in this case, you view hunting. And what the most highly effective hunters that I know do is they constantly break their paradigm in order to get to that next level. If they keep doing things the same way, then they're going to experience that same level of success. And these guys are constantly trying to reach again their full potential. So they're challenging that, and they're breaking the way that they look at hunting and trying new things and stretching themselves and honing their woodsmanship, and sometimes even switching over to a different weapon, from a compound bow to a stick bow or a different terrain. They're challenging themselves in different areas of the country. They're challenging themselves on more mature, bigger bucks. And so they understand that they can't continue to think of hunting the same way. The last foundation that the author lays down is that it's principle driven. And so principles are fundamental truths that we hold that cannot waver, that we cannot move away from. They're principle centered hunters. And so, for us at the dojo, that means our principles are personal development, continuous improvement, forging self discipline, and then being there for the hunting community, helping the community. And so each of these highly effective hunters I know have their set of principles that they abide by. The other thing you need to know before we jump into the 7 habits is that the first three, well, those are the habits that happen within you. And then habits 4 and 5 that happen between you and your prey. Habit 6 is you and how you interact with the hunting community. And habit 7 is how you renew. So we're not going to get through all of the habits today, but we're going to get through the first 3, and then we'll cover the next 4 next Tuesday. So let's dive in. So number 1 is the highly effective hunter is proactive. This means that they focus on their circle of influence, things that they can impact the most. And they do that through scouting, preparation, reading sign, honing their craft, getting better in their woodsmanship. They have a very positive mindset, which says, it doesn't matter what happens on the outside of me. I'm going to make sure I get it done by focusing on what I can control. I'm going to outwork those other variables. Now, a less effective hunter, they'll focus on a circle of concern, right? That used to be me years ago. Warm weather came in during the rut. That's what I'm focusing on. My hunt's ruined, right? Somebody walks in on public land. Oh, public land is so hard. People keep walking in on me. My hunt's ruined. You don't understand the state that I live in. It's one of the hardest states to hunt. All those type of things, Those are just areas of concern that highly effective hunters don't bother themselves with. They find a way to get it done. Another thing that effective hunters don't do is they don't really participate in chat rooms or Facebook chat rooms and the bickering and the arguing that goes on there. They don't care what somebody else uses for a camera or a weapon or where they hunt deer or how they hunt deer, if it's a saddle or a platform, or if it's from this company or that company. Those are areas outside of their influence and really of no concern of them. They understand that they can't impact somebody else. They can't change somebody else to do something different. And even if they did, it really wouldn't impact their hunting. So they just focus on the positive, and that's the area of influence, and not the negative, which is the area of concern. So habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind. And so a highly effective hunter are goal setters and go getters. They set goals every year. They assess those goals. They assess how they performed and if those goals need to be adjusted and changed. And each year they're doing that. They're always setting goals and reaching for those goals. But one thing they do is they make sure that their actions do not contradict their goals. So, what do I mean by that? Well, if you set a goal to shoot only mature bucks, then you've got to let the young ones walk by, even when they have big racks. So they stay focused. They also know that their actions, as far as how hard they work and how hard they drive to obtain these goals, they know they got to put in 100%. They can't be lazy and set a goal of killing a mature buck every year. They know it's going to take work and they focus on it 365. Habit number 3, which is the last habit we're going to get into today, that's putting first things first. And this has to do with discipline. What I like to say, deer over gear. Highly effective hunters put deer first over gear. Gear's a part of it, but it's not the first thing, and it might not even be the second thing. They're definitely trying to find that deer. That's number 1, find the target. Number 2 is figure out a way to kill it. And then gear comes in, making sure that it's all prepped and ready and working correctly. Now, I've been a saddle hunter for 20 years, and I love my saddle hunting community. Last year I ended up buying a 0.5 and I use it quite often, but I'm still part of that saddle hunting community. And for many years, I was a part of the conversations where we focus primarily on gear, shedding ounces, coming up with the newest stick or the newest platform. I focused on gear and I never killed deer. We definitely got to put deer before gear. They also know it's scout, 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 hunt. Scouting comes before hunting, and oftentimes a lot of scouting comes before hunting. A less effective hunter tends to hunt more than they scout. And then I think the most well-rounded hunter who's very effective, they put first things first in this order: God, family, then hunting. So that's it for the first 3. Next week, we're going to cover 4 through 7. But I want to remind you that on Thursday, we have our last episode in our terrain series, and that's the big woods. And we're going to do it with none other than the DIY sportsman himself. So make sure you tune into that. Also, head over to YouTube and look us up, because all of our podcasts are in video form there. And we also have a mentality vlog where we highlight the mentality of a mobile hunter every Wednesday at 9 p.m. It's something that you don't want to miss. We'd love to have you follow us and like us there. And as usual, please share this on Instagram, Facebook, and reach out to us. We'd love to have a conversation with you. And until we see you again, embrace the journey.